Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience, and tonight I'm here with my first impressions of the Erzetich Bacillus Tilia, and please forgive me if I pronounce that wrong, but anyway, I've had this for about a week. It's on loan to me, and this is made in Slovenia, and it currently sells for $7.99. That's in euros, which works out to about $900 in US dollars. Anyway, as you can see, it's relatively small. It's approximately 5 inches wide, about 7 inches deep, including the volume knob and the inputs on the back. It's 3 3/4 inches tall, and it weighs about 2.5 pounds. The front is a piece of aluminum, pretty thick piece of aluminum. The cabinet on it, or the box, is real wood. It's actually, according to the website, made of linden wood from Slovenia, and I guess it's pretty popular with furniture. On the back, you've got one set of RCA single-ended inputs. You've got your power switch, and you've got your AC input. On the front, you've got your standard 1/4 inch headphone jack and your volume knob. The rated power, according to Erzetich's website, is 181 milliwatts at 8 ohms and 161 milliwatts at 600 ohms. I'm going to get back to you a little later in this video and talk about that a little bit more. That didn't seem like a lot of power to me, and it was a little bit of a concern to me, but like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. The noise floor, the signal to noise ratio is rated at 104 decibels. And usually the first thing I do with a new amp is try some of my most sensitive headphones to see if I can pick up the noise floor on it. And even with very efficient headphones like the Grotto SR80E, the Kennerton Valley, and the Meza 99 Classic, I'm picking up no noise floor at all. It's a very quiet amp. The only headphone that I have that I could pick up any noise at all, a little bit of a slight hum, is my Sony MDR-V 700s, which is a DJ headphone, and it's extremely efficient, rated at, I think, 112 watts or 112 decibels at 1 milliwatt. So very, very efficient, and I'm picking up a slight noise with that, but it would even be usable with those. It's not enough to be a problem at all. So anyway, pretty much with any headphone you're going to use with this is going to be dead quiet. The volume control is nice. It feels solid, and it's real smooth, and there's no indentation, so you're not limited to, going a step at a time. You can hit it pretty much anywhere, which is nice with efficient headphones. So you've got better volume control that way. I believe this is it's a potentiometer made by Alps, I believe. Anyway, for my comparisons with this amp on sound, I used my Benchmark HP82, which is part of my Benchmark DAC 1, and the Audio GD M9, just using the single-ended output of it, since this is a single-ended amp, and the Wells Audio Milo, and also using the single-ended output from that. But that is a single-ended amp, even though it does have a 4-pin XLR output. My first impressions of this amp is it is a little bit on the warm side of neutral. Not a whole lot, but it is a nice warm, it doesn't lack any detail though. It's a little on the warm side of neutral, and what it does is it's basically giving the music just, some body and some musicality and sort of a natural organic sound, and I'm really liking that. Both vocals and instruments, are affected by that. Just very pleasant sound. It's I would describe it as smooth, it's non-fatiguing, but it's still dynamic and has quite a bit of punch to it. As far as the tone balance on it, I would say that the bass is slightly emphasized. That's part of what's giving it the warm sound. Compared back to my HPA2 or my M9, the bass has a little more body and a little more punch to it than with either of those amps. And but it doesn't lose anything in the treble. The treble doesn't roll off at all, so it's got a nice tone balance all the way through. Earlier I mentioned the power output and rated it only 181 milliwatts at 8 ohms. I was concerned that this amp was not going to have enough power for harder to drive headphones, especially planar magnetic headphones. And I assumed it would be very good, you know, with the more efficient headphones like the Kennerton Valley and the Meza 99 Classic and the Grottos and things like that. But I was not expecting it to sound good with the Hi-Fi Man Sundara, and I've also got the Hi-Fi Man Aria on loan right now. And to my complete surprise, it did a really good job with both the Sundara and the Aria, which is actually a little bit harder to drive than the Sundara. And they both actually sound really good with this amp. And so I'm not sure how that's happening. Maybe it's got more power than what they're saying it does. You know, maybe their measurements are very conservative. But so I decided to give it the best test I could power-wise, and I hooked up my Hi-Fi Man HE560, which is a very hard headphone to drive. It's not that hard to get it loud, but it's hard to make it sound good. It needs a lot of power to sound right, or it will the bass will sound thin and it'll sound harsh in the mid-range and treble if it's underamped. And believe it or not, this amp actually does a really good job with the 560, and I never imagined that. I do not recommend the 560 normally to use with any amp of under 2 watts per channel, and to my complete surprise, this amp does a not the job of my M9 or the Milo, which both have unlimited power. But with the volume knob at 12 o'clock straight up, I was getting relatively loud sound out of my 560s, and it actually sounded really good. The bass was solid, and I wasn't picking up any harshness. And like I said, that completely surprised me. I did push it further. I pushed the volume up to about the 3 o'clock position, and it did start losing control of the bass and started sounding harsh in the mid-range and treble. But I was at the point of, at that point, it was as loud as I could stand. Like I said, the M9 and Milo will play it that loud and the sound will stay the same, so it's not the headphone. But the fact that this can play the 560 at a relatively loud volume and still sound good really surprised me and really impressed me. So anyway, I'm not going to go much further into the sound right now. I want to put another 2 or 3 weeks on this if I can, and you know, really get a chance to, you know, put a lot of different kinds of music through it and test it with several different headphones. I haven't tried it with the Kennerton Thrower yet, which is my best headphone, and that's an extremely revealing headphone, so that will tell me a lot about this amp. And but like I said, it actually sounds really good with the Hi-Fi Man Aria, and that's an exceptional headphone. So I did want to point out that this does have a 5-year warranty, which is better than the warranty from most manufacturers. And there is one thing about this amp that does bother me a little bit. It's not a huge problem. It's not really, you know, it wouldn't change my mind about, you know, wanting it or not, but it is a slight inconvenience. Okay, the deal is with this amp, when I've got to get this at the right angle, it's reflecting back into the camera. Anyway, when you plug in or unplug your headphones, even if you turn or pause your source, even if you turn the volume down to 0 on this, you still get a little bit of a pop in your ears when you plug or unplug the headphones. And depending on how efficient the headphone is, with a real efficient headphone, it's going to be louder, you know, and it's kind of annoying. So basically, the only way to override that is before you plug or unplug your headphones, you need to reach in the back and over the top, flip the switch, turn the unit off, unplug your headphones, and then before you use it again, plug your headphones back in and then turn the amp on last, and you will completely avoid that problem. So, like I said, it's an inconvenience, but you get used to it within, you know, I mean, the first day I had it, I was used to doing that, and it wasn't really a problem. So anyway, other than that, so far I'm really liking this amp, and I will get back to you in a couple weeks with more details on the sound. Oh, and I did want to mention, some people talk about, you know, occasionally finding a headphone and an amp that just really go well together, that really have a good sound. And to me, so far, that is the Kennerton Valley. It's a fairly easy to drive, dynamic type driver headphone, but like the Bacillus Tilia, it's made of real wood. It's got that kind of artsy look. And in my opinion, this headphone with this amp together sound incredible. I really, really enjoy listening to this headphone with this amp. I'm making a mess here. Anyway, so if you've already got a Kennerton Valley, you really might want to consider this amp and look into it. Or if you have this amp, maybe look at the Kennerton Valley, because in my opinion, they are an excellent match. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up now. I will get back to you in a couple weeks with more details about the sound. And so once again, this is William from the Headphone Experience. If this video has helped you in any way, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'd like to have you all join us over at the Headphone Experience on Facebook. Thank you.